Hi everyone, this is a very short video on a few commonly made mistakes of APA by previous students. So first is the verb tense, especially in the literature review section. Use past tense to express an action or a condition that occurred at a specific definite time in the past. So don't use present tense to cite a researcher's work. And the first paragraph, you don't need an introduction heading for the first paragraph because that paragraph is the introduction. So just write a paragraph and continue on. And the running head, in the very first page, your title page, you should have the word running head and then put the title of the paper all in caps. On the second page, you will start with the title of the paper without the two words running head. So how do you do this? Let me show you how you do this in Word document. So here's a Word document. You need to first double click on the heading. I'm going to start from scratch. So double click on the heading and then go to the tab. You will see header and footer. And from here, you click on the tab and then you check this box, say different at first page. Okay, now you can type your running head and the title of your paper. It can be shorter than the original one. And close it. Now you move on to the second page. You can double click on this to enter the heading, but without the two words running head. And close it, and then that's it. To make sure the headers are different in these two pages. Okay, let's go back. The next commonly made mistake is hanging quotation. Don't use a quote for the whole sentence or paragraph. So here's one example. This whole sentence is a quote. You want to separate that. For example, you can say, according to the author, self-determination is, and then quote the actual definition. You write a paper to demonstrate you can synthesize, analyze information, not just to use quotes to fill out the space. Next, the journal volume number and issue number. The volume number should be italicized, but the issue number should not be. And put the issue number in parentheses when they are available. Sometimes some journal might not have issue numbers. Next, if it's an electronic source, you want to cite the URL, you want to say retrieve from where, but don't just copy and paste the URL from the library because nobody else can access this entrance without the login to the university. You want to look for the DOI. Each electronic source has a DOI. If you found this article from the library, you will be able to find this DOI on the same page. So make sure you cite the right URL, or you can look it up on the internet to see where you can find this article. Next, if an author is cited twice in the same paragraph, on the first citation you want to put a year, but the second time you cite the same author, you don't need to put a year. Until you start a new paragraph again, then you need to cite a year again. And citing newspaper or magazine article online, you only need to use the main address of that magazine or the newspaper because the issue number got changed or the location got archived from time to time. So if you use the direct link, people may not be able to find it. However, some magazines or newspaper do have fixed URL. So for your own references in the future, if you want to be able to find it right away and you have the direct URL, I will accept that you include a link. At least most of the time, the links will be good for a few years. But the correct way is just to cite the main address of the magazine or the newspaper. Finally, if you have a citation with 5 authors or less, you want to use all the last name of the authors. Don't just use the first last name at all. So here are 4 different ways of citing work by 5 authors or less. If it's direct citation in text, you spell out the last names. If it's a subsequent citation, you just put the first author's last name and then et al. And if it's in a parenthetical format, you can also need to spell all the last names of the authors. And if it's a subsequent citation, you just put the first author's last name et al. You can refer to the APA manual on page 177. And that's all. Good luck!